So we are introducing paper kits for all of our interchangeable home letters. It's item number CK418. So all of those O inserts, you'll now have the option to buy paper. The paper kit's going to come like this. They'll be labeled with what item it is. So when you get the pieces, it'll be important to make sure that you don't mess up on them. So before you cut them or draw on them, you want to make sure that you know where they go. So this is the baby chick, and you need to first thing make sure that your wood pieces line up. There's a right and a wrong way for this to line up exactly. You don't want it to overhang. So if you just mess with it a little bit and make sure that you have it lined up and know that that's the right direction, you can then mark with your pencil the front of your wood. So if you just put a little F, because you'll be covering it up, you'll know this is the front that you're going to put your paper on top of. And then I would just kind of lay everything out where you know it needs to go. So that's your chick color, that's your egg color. And then you'll come with, some of them will come with orange pieces or different colored pieces for different things. This one, there's a little flock of feathers right here at the top that this orange piece would fit on. And then we always like to, on these vinyl pieces for the face, anything that comes with a beak, we like to dress it up with a little bit more pattern, and we cut that out of paper. You don't have to do that, you can skip that step, but your kit will come with those pieces. So first thing what you want to do is you want to put your paper right side up and your wood right side up, and then you would trace your shape onto your paper. So just trace around there. And then you would cut that out. And then with your chick, you need to make sure that your pieces will overlap and fill everything. So you would kind of sit it where it needs to be. Make sure that this, that's going to be this white paper, is going to cover that, and make sure you have this far enough down that you don't have any wood showing in these areas. And then you could flip it this way and trace it. So you would do that, cut those pieces out, and then with this little piece right here, you would put it right side up, and then you could flip them and you could trace this out so you would know exactly how to cut that piece. And then you would cut those lines, cut on that, and you might have to trim the bottom across so it fits good. But another fun, exciting thing that we want to show you how to do is how to Mod Podge. That tends to be a trickier thing. People have a hard time with it bubbling. We've used Mod Podge for years and haven't had trouble, but we're going to try to show you a new technique with a different type of glue. It's a wood glue and it dries clear, but you wouldn't want to go over the top of your paper with this. If you want to go over the top of your project, then I would definitely go over the top with Mod Podge, but that's a step that is up to you if you want to do it, or you can skip it. We very rarely ever go over the top. So just make sure that you have your right side up. We've marked ours with an F for front, and then make sure that that fits. This is the glue that we're going to try to use today to show you how it works. You can just run it on the top, smooth it out with a foam brush. Looks like we're going to need a little bit more. Make sure that you get all these little areas so your paper doesn't lift or tear on any of those edges. And I might use just a teeny bit more. But you want to get a decent amount of glue on there, whether it's this type of glue or Mod Podge. You want to make sure that all those edges have enough glue on it for it to seal. Then you put your paper down. Then smooth it out with your hands. I also like to make sure that I don't have any glue on my fingers because you don't want it to show on the paper. It'll dry with a different sheen to it than your regular paper. And then take something with a smooth edge. You could use a credit card, a plastic spatula, anything like that, and you just want to rub over the top of your project, and it works out all the air. And I always make sure that I don't have any glue that I'm going to then smear back on top of my project. And you just rub it, make sure that you have it all sealed. And then at this point you might have a little bit of wood showing in some places, and you might have your paper overhanging in others. So at this point I take a piece of sandpaper, and I like to fold mine in half, and then I hang it over the edge of my work surface, and you can just sand along all these edges, and it will trim that paper to fit your shape exactly. It takes a little bit of time to do, but it's well worth it in the end. It just makes your project look nice and finished. So you can see on there that it's trimmed. These ones still haven't been sanded, and those have, and it's trimmed it off perfect. So you just make your way all the way around there with sandpaper. You then would repeat the process for your other pieces. But one thing I want to show you how to do with the orange beaks, if you choose to cut that out on paper, what I do with these is I peel up the vinyl, I put it on the back side of the orange paper, and this one is actually for the top of the feathers. This one's for the beak. So you put it on the back side, and then you peel it off, and then you cut that shape out. So that way you have the exact same shape. You don't have to trace it. It's just there for you. And that'll give your beak a little bit more character than just a regular orange. It has a little bit of detail from the scrapbook paper. So after this yellow is Mod Podged onto your chick and sanded, you then could just glue that on with you could use the wood glue or Mod Podge, and then I would hot glue or wood glue this piece on top, and then you would cut out the little tuft of feathers for the top of the chick. And then you're all done. You would then at that point just apply the vinyl eyes on this particular one and this little word peep down at the bottom of the egg, and those are quite easy to do. You just peel it back, make sure all the letters stayed attached, and then you would put it on. And I wouldn't ever use something like this to rub it because it could tear your paper, so I always just lightly rub those with my fingers and then just peel it up, and you're done.